So we have everything ready to add together. I've got all the different ingredients there, which were just listed for you on the screen. And first we're going to take the dry ingredients. We have our flour here, and add in the baking powder and the sugar. Next we're just going to mix that all together. Well mixed, but as much as people think baking is challenging and you have to be exact with the recipe, it's really not that hard. So just give it a decent mix, and we can set that aside. Next, we're going to take the wet ingredients and mix them together. So you can add in your milk. This is cashew milk. You could use regular milk, soy milk, almond milk, whatever you would like. Now we have added the egg to that, and we'll just give it a little whisk. Set that aside for a minute and pull this back over, and we will cut in the shortening. You could use butter instead of shortening. I happen to be out of butter, so I chose shortening. Now we're just gonna cut the shortening into the dry mixture, and we're gonna take a minute, break for a minute while I do that, just because I did not warm it up at all. Okay, now you have all of the shortening cut into the mixture, so it's a little bit crumbly. So what I used to do this was this little pastry cutter. I'm not sure if that's actually what you would call it, but anyways, I got this from my grandma. You could inherit one like I did, or you could go buy one. Sometimes they have them at the dollar store, but you could also get it at just any kitchen store. So now that that's done, we're going to add the wet mixture to the dry mixture. So gently fold this in. It doesn't need to be mixed all that well, because you're going for a nice flaky bun that's kind of falling apart when you eat it. So I'm going to add cheese to this one. This is completely optional. My son just happens to like cheese buns, and that is the full reason why I am making this right now. Okay, so we're going to fold the cheese and the wet mixture into the dry mixture. Once your mixture is starting to kind of pull together, that's when, I just washed my hands, that's when you'll jump in and just use your hands to form it into a dough, and then we'll put it on the counter. I dumped this onto the counter, and we're just starting to make balls with it. Because I am holding the camera in one hand, I made one, but really you could just rip it apart and throw it on the baking pan, and it will also work because these are supposed to be kind of rustic looking. Okay, so moving over to the stove, I have it preheated at 400, and we have the biscuits on a baking tray. I did put tinfoil down and also a little bit of cooking spray just so that it doesn't stick. That is optional. Just trying to make my life easier. So now we'll put it into the oven. And we are going to check on it after about 8 minutes. Okay, so that is done. Now it smells like burning cheese, so we might get some smoke out of here. Ooh. Those look pretty good. So they look a little bit, they look good, wow. But they don't really look like they've browned at all, so I'm gonna put them in for another 2 minutes. Okay, 2 minutes is up, and they look much better. That nice browning. Do not do this at home. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Okay, now we're just gonna move them over to the baking sheet. They are quite hot, so they can properly cool down. And we'll take one and we'll cut it in half so you guys can see how good these are. And there you go. Fluffy, delicious cheddar biscuits. Okay. Okay, so the first batch is done and right there, and the second batch is coming out. As you can see, these ones are a little bit bigger, so they turned out a little bit nicer, I think. And these ones, I left them in for the full 10 minutes. I didn't try and take them out after 8.